One podcast
Bone podcast
between you and me.
between you and me.
It's got sort of like a signal delay, but that's okay. We'll work through it. So today we're going to talk about consequences. Consequences. And all actions have consequences. And so there's this saying that I'm fond of saying, and I'm going to plug the person who said it, Mr. Larry Williams, Deborah Williams. I know from way back in the day, back in Cincinnati, Ohio. One of the things that they said to me that struck a chord, and I've carried it with me for the rest of my life, is you can choose your choices, but you cannot choose your consequences. And so anytime I get an opportunity to share with somebody about consequences, I always share it and I always give them that plug. You can choose your choices, but you cannot choose your consequences. What do you have to say about that?
I'm definitely used to hearing that saying.
Yeah.
Right. It was actually one of those things that you used to say a lot when I was younger. I would say it's probably one of the foundational things that you've kind of laid out for me to keep in mind as I go through life and as I was growing up. And so that's definitely something that I think about. I wouldn't necessarily say often, but when the situation arises, I can easily identify it as that's a you choose your choices, but you choose your consequences moment. Even
Mm-hmm.
beforehand, and when I'm going into thinking about something, when I'm thinking about the pros and cons and weighing out things, it's like, but am I willing to accept the consequences of the choice of that choice? And if I'm
Yep.
not, then I try not to go with that. So I definitely think it's true. I think it's a good thing to, I guess, to live by, to keep in your mind as something, as a, I guess, a viewpoint to look at life. So I
Yeah.
agree with that.
And I think it's interesting because I know I deal with I can't even say youth, man. I deal more with young adults. Um, and it's amazing the number of them who want to make decisions, but when it doesn't pan out the way that they want it to, or they thought it would, they want to do over, or they don't want to, they don't want to pay the piper, or they don't want to suffer. Well, I don't even want to suffer the consequences, but they don't want to accept the consequences of the decision that they made. And it's interesting.
Right.
I was talking to somebody the other day, and and that was one of the things we was talking about. We was talking about like when do you bail somebody out, or what is your criteria for bailing somebody out? And for me, I was
That's an
saying that
interesting
I'm.
question.
I'm you say what?
I was saying that's an interesting question.
Yeah, yeah. You got an answer for it?
No, that's one of those things. So I would have to take some time to evaluate what's the difference. Where
Okay.
would I draw that line? So I think that's
Where would you
interesting.
draw the line? And I don't know that I even drew the line when I talked to him, but one of the things that I did share with him when he asked me that was, um, I'm not of the habit of allowing people to make mistakes, or not even make mistakes, but make choices. And then when it comes time to pay for the choices that they make, they want me to pay for them. You know what I'm saying? And
Right.
so it's like if you're just looking at me and you, and if I tell you, I say, T, okay, well, um, you drive, and if you drive your car fast, you're gonna get a ticket, right? And I
Mm-hmm.
tell you that, and then you go out and you drive your car fast and you get a ticket, then you want me to pay for the ticket, or you want me to come bail you out of jail, or you know what I'm saying? Or you want me to continue to pay for your well, I don't pay for your car insurance anyway, but you want me to continue to pay for your car insurance. And so for me, what I say, and man, I got so many tangents that's running off of this, but it's like you fully aware and you're fully capable of making your choice. So if you're fully aware and fully capable of making that choice, then be willing to
Except
accept
that
the
consequence.
consequence of that choice. Yeah,
Right.
yeah. And one of the things I tell your mom, and I don't know if as much as it deals with you and deals with other people too, but I say one thing is for parents, what we do as parents is we give our kids too much disposable income. And so
Mm-hmm.
I look at that under the same thing. I say characters. I look at that the same way. Like if I'm gonna continue to allow you to make choices and then I pay for the consequences of your choices, I free you up to continue to make bad choices.
Right.
And that's like giving you too much disposable income, right?
Especially
And
when you
so if
don't
you
even really see that consequence. When that
yes,
consequence is shielded from you, then you never learn that there's a consequence to that action, so you never go forth to fix that action.
right. Right. So that's the deal, man. That's where I kind of draw the line. I kind of draw the line in paying for somebody else's choices, especially when now if it's another thing if it catch you, flat footed and you didn't fully understand it, you didn't have the capability to fully vet it. But if you were able to fully vet it, you've been duly warned. Yeah, at that point, yeah, I think you have to pay for that consequence. Now, it's a story by Sun Tzu, and as we get into it, I think I may end this segment by reading a portion of that story by Sun Tzu that talks about that kind of thing. I think maybe if we get there, but anyway, I got a list of 5 things that I think young adults and adults should adhere to. Youth and children should be taught, right? Young adults and adults should adhere to, and youth and children should be taught so that they can begin to adhere to it as they age. And so I'm gonna read this list to you one at a time, and I'm gonna listen to what you have to say about it, and then I'll give you my take on it. So you ready?
All right, sounds good.
All right, cool. So the first one says that all decisions have consequences, good or bad. As an adult, take responsibility for your actions. If people show you grace, humbly accept it, but don't expect it because you were still wrong.
I agree with that wholeheartedly. Evan, I can definitely say that I've had probably a lot of moments of that where it's something that things could have definitely went worse, or the consequence could have been worse, and for whatsoever reason things didn't go that way. And of course it's easy to get in the moment, just look at it like, whoo, I got off, cool, that ended up working out. But really, I think, and if you're looking for growth moving forward, and you're looking for growth and strengthening of character from each moment and each experience that you go through, you have to actually sit back and take the time, like, wow, I did something to warrant the consequence that I did not receive. And just because
Yeah,
I didn't receive that consequence doesn't mean the action that I did was scrubbed. I
there
just
you
so
go. Yeah.
happened to, that was grace. I was blessed. I was lucky. But it doesn't excuse what you did. So,
And it's funny you say that because when I was talking to the person the other day, we actually you were part of the conversation as you always are, and they said for you just need to dodge some bullets is what they said, right? And
mhm.
they didn't mean physical bullets, but they were just saying you just need to dodge some bullets because when you dodge enough bullets, then that increases or enhances that foundational learning, right? And
Right.
so I think what it is if you if you dodge enough bullets and you start realizing that bullets are being shot at you, you start getting wiser about the places that you put yourself in, so you can quit dodging bullets. And I think that was the point that he was trying to make. And so yeah, it's like if you dodge the bullet, man, take a moment to say, wait a minute, that was a bullet, and that was my head. Maybe I need to be wiser about the choices that I make.
Right. Let me go somewhere where there's not bullets coming at me.
All right. Oh, you're just saying it wasn't bullets coming at you? Nah,
I was
no.
saying, right, just you take my way like, oh, let me go somewhere where there aren't bullets coming at
There
me.
you go. There you go. Yeah. To go somewhere where no bullets are coming at you, right? All right. So the second one says a bad. Well, hold on. I'm gonna run back. So it says if people show you grace, right, humbly accept it, but don't expect it because you were still wrong. And
Hmm.
the other thing that I think happens all too often is when people show you grace, not UT, but when people show people who have made bad choices grace, they
They begin
accept
to
it, but they
expect
don't
that.
accept it humbly. They expect it. You see what I'm
Right.
saying?
They begin to expect that, somewhat in general, but especially of that one person.
Right. And that becomes counterproductive. So cool. All right. Um, a bad decision with a negative outcome doesn't have to define you forever. Forgive yourself, learn the lesson, and move forward.
I agree with that. I agree with that. What was this? I can't remember exactly. I was watching the show. I can't remember exactly what it was. Oh, I remember what it was now. But basically, it was saying that the past and the past and the future is the future, and they're there, but don't let the past and the future to allow you or to tamper with your decision making in the moment.
Hmm.
So don't think because previous mistake, or even kind of like what we were talking about with the last point of getting by, dodging a bullet in the past. Don't allow that to be the judgment of your current decision, but
Hmm.
more so take what, like, oh, I know, I guess I was the 1% to the 99% that time, but don't lose sight of what the 99% is because of that 1%. And so in that same way, right, you don't allow, um and something else I saw in a podcast, I think it was, who said this? It was a basketball podcast. I think it was Kenny the Jet Anderson.
Okay.
Um, but he was saying that the best player he knows, um, what did he say, have like the memory of an elephant or a goldfish, something like that. But basically, they have short memories. They don't let what happened in the last game bog them down in the current game.
It,
You
you know,
know,
it, it's interesting just to throw that whole basketball thing in there. I just saw something about what's your boy's name? I'm not, father Giannis.
where's he from?
Giannis?
Bucks.
Huh? Yeah, from the book. Giannis, that's his name, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they were saying the thing about Giannis is he can shoot an air ball this time and hustle back down court like nothing happened.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And so
And
yeah.
that's huge. You don't allow that previous moment to keep you from acting in the current.
Hmm.
I saw something else about which kind of on the other side of that situation, the Suns versus the Bucks, but something that I thought was um, minor in seeing, but I really feel like there was a moment and a nugget that could be taken from it. Was they were talking about Devin Booker in that last game and the fact that he was in foul trouble, so they took him out of the game. And so
Hmm.
the interviewer was asking him, and so were you upset being out the game, but did that get you out of your rhythm? And his response was, well, no, that didn't get me out of my rhythm because, I mean, rhythm's more of a mindset than anything. I just had to make sure when I came back in, I was doing what I needed to do.
Hmm.
And so that whole don't, like, the rhythm is a mindset. It's being clear, like having a clear head and focusing and trying to make the right decision and move forward is a mindset. So don't allow what happened in the past or the circumstance to bog you down to the point where you can't do better or make a better decision.
Jay, Jay, I'm with that. I'm with that. All right. A bad decision with a negative outcome doesn't have to define you forever. Forgive yourself, learn the lesson, and move forward. And forgiving ourselves is important because if we
Right.
don't forgive ourselves, our memory can't be short. Our memory is long because every time something happens, we bring it back up to ourselves first. Other people
Right.
could have forgotten about it. We still remind ourselves. So, yeah. All right.
That is something that I see though. I will say a lot of times we put more weight on things than other people even did. Like I have a friend that he talks about this situation he had in his life where he still thinks about it sometimes to this day. He's like, I feel embarrassed.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd be telling them, I honestly don't think they remember that even happened. That was such a minor thing. I think you're the person and the only person in the situation still giving weight to that.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
I think that happens a lot. We allow moments to stick with us to the point where, I mean, I think it can even become a snowball effect.
Right. Right.
And we allow that to become such a mountain out of a molehill situation that it can even um, have a very strong and defining effect to our character
Right.
or the way we look at things morally, possibly. So, yeah, keep it going, keep your head up.
So keep your head up, keep it going. All right. And then in converse to what I just said, this one says number 3, don't let others hold you captive for mistakes you moved on from. So
Mm.
that's like in the converse.
Yeah, I think that's a big thing that, of course, we all know has been going on for the past few years with the whole cancel culture and all that.
Hmm. Hmm.
Where it started off as like current things, and somebody said something, oh, they become canceled. But then somewhere along the line, people began doing things like looking up tweets from
Yes.
18 years ago and things of that nature. and trying to use that to hold over someone's head for now. And it's like that was 15 years ago. I was definitely, I mean, I was a different person 2 years ago.
Right, right.
I was a different person 5 months ago. So 15 years ago, I mean, to a certain extent, of course, there's always a line there somewhere, but I feel like 15 years ago versus now,
If it
there's
wasn't
so
more,
much growth. I didn't have, we don't have to hold on that and be charged for that this far down the line. There is growth possible in that. And so if you forgiving yourself, you're cool with yourself and you're looking forward, you have your eyes forward, don't allow other people to bring you back into that moment to pull you back. Because then you kind of lose all the progress that you've made.
there you go. You lose all the progress that you made. And it's funny because you know what? Some people will do it to you just because they're vindictive, or you know what I'm
Right.
saying? And so you just can't I guess stoop down or allow that to drag you down. Let it go. And if they want to hold on to it, let them hold on to it. And they, let them sink to the bottom of the abyss like an anchor, but you don't hold on to it while they're trying to put it back in your hands. So that was visual for me, man. All right. Number 4, say less, apologize, and explain to those you feel deserve it. No need for an apology roadshow for folks who don't know you or don't care. Let me say it again. Say less.
Yeah.
Apologize and explain to those you feel deserve it. No need for an apology roadshow for folks who don't know you or don't care.
I can see that. Um, Dave Chappelle made a joke about something like that. He was just talking about Kevin Hart and the whole situation Kevin Hart had. I think it was with the Oscars,
Yep.
and how it was one of those pulling up old tweets kind of things. But he was talking about how it was always Kevin Hart's dream to host the Oscars. And then he finally got to the place in his career where he was able to have the opportunity to host the Oscars. And then something was pulled from a few years in the past, and it was kind of, I guess, applying pressure. Um, I guess, kind of pushing him back away from that opportunity, that
Mm-hmm.
dream of his. And Dave Chappelle went over on to talk about how he apologized for it, but he refused to continue to apologize and rehash and say the same thing that he had said before and allow them to keep pulling that from him. And he actually decided to step down from doing the Oscars.
Mm-hmm.
And then Dave Chappelle, of course, throws in the joke at the end and said, and then went on to apologize for the same thing for the next like 15 weeks
Yeah. Yeah.
or something like that. But just the whole, like, I don't have to get caught into that that rote. Like, I have to apologize all the time or to everybody. Especially nowadays, people act like things affect them when they really don't.
Yep.
Like, it's not even your situation. It's not even your business, but you're charging somebody else as if they did something to you. I'm
Almost
pretty
like people
sure,
looking for a reason to be offended.
right? Because it's like I'm sure that person is dealing with their own consequences in that circle, and it could be the same way with us. Like, we know what we dealt with because of that, and what we went through, and we know how we've rehashed things, and I guess settled things, being within that picture frame, within that conversation, within that
Yeah.
situation. And so, I mean, of course, people be nosy for
Yeah.
some reason.
Yeah.
Everybody's nosy nowadays. So, but you don't have to allow that to force you to act as if it's their business.
Correct. Correct.
You don't have to open that up for everybody else.
Um, say less. I'm gonna tell you something. It's funny, right? Um, one of the worst things can happen to you if you're sitting in a position where you want to hold somebody accountable, right? Is if they apologize right off the bat. It's like it takes all the steam out of it. I can remember years ago I was sitting in a meeting and it was this company that was doing some work for us that screwed up really badly, like really bad, right? And so I mean we had all our documentation. We were sitting in the conference room. We was loaded for bear. and they came in, and the first thing they said was, "We screwed up. We sorry." You know what I'm saying? And when they
Right.
did that, it was like,
What
I
do you
mean,
say to that?
you see what I'm saying? It's like you almost petty if you keep trying to pull threads out of that because they already apologized. They've already
Mm-hmm.
admitted that they were wrong, and so really, there's nowhere else to go. Okay, you can decide at that point, I don't want to deal with this company anymore or this person anymore. You can decide at this point that I want to put some parameters in place to deal with this person. You know what I'm saying? But those
Right.
like your only options. I mean, yeah, you can continue to try to beat them across the head if you want to, but they've already accepted it, and so only thing you're doing is talking. It's just win. And so I'm a fan of that. Like if I do something wrong, I'm a own up to it. I'm gonna fess up to it. That's it. Period. I'm gonna fess up to it. I'm apologize, and I'm like, okay, so now you can do with that what you will, but I'm done with it. You know what I'm saying? If you want to put some kind of sanction in place, I'll accept the sanction that you put in place. But what I'm not gonna let you do is berate me. I'm not gonna let you keep reminding me that I did it wrong because I already admitted that I did it wrong and I asked for your apology. If you don't want to accept my apology, you have every right not to. But I'm not going to stay around and let you badger me and beat me across the head about it.
Right.
And
You
so,
used to tell me that. Just talk about like sometimes you got to be prepared to eat crow.
eat crow, baby.
You know.
Carry a knife and fork with your salt and pepper because you always got to be ready to eat crow. And so, yeah, that's it, man. Like, say less. Apologize, and if they deserve it, explain to them why it happened. But other than that,
Mm-hmm.
leave it alone. If some third party or somebody else want to walk up and talk about it, you don't owe them anything. You
All
didn't
right.
wrong
We've
them.
already settled this over here.
Yeah, you already settled this, man. We done. We done. All right, number 5. Next time you see someone mess up, extend them the same grace you once received. That's humility.
I agree. Was that humility a part of the thing, or
No,
is that
I
something you
added
put in
that.
there?
I added that.
Okay.
Yeah, I added that because in the first one it said humbly accept it, but don't expect it because you were still wrong. And in this one it's saying, so if somebody extended you grace, then you
Go
need to
forth and
extend the
extend
same
that
grace. Yeah,
same grace.
yeah,
Pay it forward kind of
yeah.
situation.
Right. Yeah, 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 yeah.
I
So
definitely agree with that. I mean, that's something that would, make the world flow easier, people be happier. Um, if we would all just extend some grace, extend some kindness, things of that nature. So I
yeah.
definitely agree with that one.
So I was telling you, I was going to tell you, I was going to tell you about a situation. Not too long ago happened where I did something, or I didn't do something I was supposed to do. So I made a mistake, right? I was supposed to, I just believe that I was supposed to do something. I neglected to do it. It was an error on my part, 100%. When the person called me out for it, I admitted to it, 100%. I'm wrong. I'll fix it. I want to fix it now. I can't fix it right this second, but I guarantee you that when the time comes, I'm going to fix it, right? And they just gave me all kinds of grief. And I'm like, look, you can continue to say what you like, but what I do want you to understand is that I recognize that I was in error in this, and I will
Mm-hmm.
fix the error at my first possible moment. I can't fix it before that, but I'll fix it at my first possible moment. And so we moved on from that. And then a couple of weeks later, they came to me because they made a mistake, and they wanted me to extend them grace. And I happily extended them grace. But what I did was I said to them, at first I asked the question, are you talking about the same kind of grace that you extended to me? That was my first thing. Are you talking about the same kind of grace you extended to me? And then my second thing to them was, and that is why you have to extend grace. You
Mm-hmm.
know what I'm saying? Because
Right.
it's funny because I mean, we all make mistakes. I mean, like nobody's
Right.
perfect. We
None
all
of
make
us are
mistakes.
perfect.
And
Exactly.
so own your mistakes. I mean, like the world will flow so much better if we just own our mistakes. I mean, because we think that the world may come to an end. We may think the Grim Reaper's gonna come and get us, or whatever the consequences are gonna be for the action. The consequences are what the consequences are. Like I try to tell people, consequences aren't really good or bad. Consequences are. If a bad action goes in, what comes out the other side is a bad consequence. If a good action goes in, what comes out the other side is a good consequence. Consequences are neutral. What you put into it determines what you get out of it. And so
Right.
own what you put in, accept what you get out, and then if you need to apologize, apologize and move on.
I think like based on that situation you were talking about, I think that's consistency that we see a lot is that a lot of times people subconsciously would judge other people harsher than they would judge themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and it's definitely really hard to come back from when you judge somebody so harshly for something, and then you find yourself entrapped in that same situation, that same problem, and then you would hope that somebody would be able to, oh wow, have an aha moment of, okay, so what I was doing was I should have been extending grace, and
Right.
I wasn't doing that. This is what that feels like on that other end. I mean, sometimes it takes those kinds of moments,
Yeah.
those kind
Yeah.
of aha moments. But really, definitely, if we were all able to, if we all would make the decision and the effort to extend some grace, I think that would be very beneficial.
It would. It would. So, I guess it might not be a long podcast, but I think, I mean, definitely the moment about, with this cancel culture going on, with different people making poor decisions nowadays and getting caught for their poor decision making. The ability, especially when you're in the limelight, to own that responsibility, own that consequence. It speaks volumes, because it speaks volumes to your fans. If you have fans, it speaks volumes to any, youth, young adult children that you have in your life. It speaks volume to your peers. It really teaches a lesson. It teaches a lesson that, hey, I realize that I'm not above accepting the consequences of my actions. And then it gives other people the courage to do the same. And especially if we get to the place where we're actually extending grace and offering forgiveness for those who ask, and being humble about it, I think that it is one of the key cornerstones that we can use to come back from the brink of destruction that I think we are in as a country today.
Well said, honestly. There's not much else I could add to that, sir.
All right. Well, choose your choices, but you cannot choose your consequences.
Yeah.
Bum Podcast.
Bum Podcast.
Between you and me.
Between you and me. Holla.
Holla.